So let's see how we can make this loop sound a little bit tighter. A lot of the time when we're making house music and building out our drums, we're going to be using different loops, different samples, and dropping them into our session. And especially in the case of loops, as we're layering our drums, they're going to have slightly different swings to them or slightly different grooves. One way that you can help just tighten up your song's groove and kind of the feel is to make sure that each of the loops and each of the groove kind of percussion elements are all playing the same groove. If I zoom in, I can see that just dropping the samples on the grid is going to be quite a bit different than where the hits are taking place in the loop, right? This loop is playing with swing, but if I just drop some groove percussion onto the grid here, they're going to be playing at different times. It's going to sound a little bit sloppy. The first thing I'm going to do is actually choose an element that I want to be like the main reference for my groove. And in this case, I'm just going to choose this loop here. And I'm going to use this to help place all of my other drum hits. So the open hat's on the offbeat. It doesn't really have any swing to it. So the next one down is going to be the groove hat. So I'll just move it directly underneath so I can really see. And I'm going to turn off the grid, press Command 4, and then I can just adjust these freely so that they really line up with the loop here. And drum loops are fairly repetitive, right? So it might repeat over like a 4 or 8 bar phrase. And once I have that going, I can just turn the grid back on and just kind of duplicate this out. And once I have that one done, I would go to the next groove element, which is this perk hit. I'd zoom in and same thing. I just want to make sure that it's playing at the exact same time here. So I'll turn the grid off, make sure it's adjusted, go over to the next one, make sure it's adjusted and it's playing at the same time, duplicate that out as well. The other way that you can do this is you can right click on the loop and choose this extract grooves option. I find that this method isn't 100% accurate. It's easier just to take a minute for me and manually line it up so I can actually physically see that the notes and the drum hits are all kind of happening at the same time. And we essentially want to do the same process with anything that is reinforcing the rhythm or the swing. So we might have a bass line that's reinforcing some of that groove. So we would want to do the exact same thing, right? I'd go into the actual MIDI clip here. So I'll just move this underneath here for a second. And I can see there's a pretty big difference between where the note's starting in the bass line and where the hit is from the drum loop that we're using that has swing on it, right? The same thing, zoom in, and I would turn off the grid, find the note, and then I would just shorten it. So it starts at the exact same time. And once you've done that to all of the different percussion elements and like bass lines and leads, if you have a lead that's playing a kind of a swung rhythm as well, it'll sound a lot more cohesive and kind of tighter like this. Right, as opposed to this. I try and picture it as kind of a real band. If you have a drummer playing one groove and then you have your bassist playing another groove and then your guitarist playing another groove, like it's not going to sound very cohesive. So by actually zooming in and taking a look at like all your different percussion stuff and your leads and your bass lines and making sure they're all playing with the same swing or the same groove, it just helps the track feel a little bit more cohesive and tighter.